Welcome to The Sound, KQAL-FM's weekly behind-the-scenes look at Midwestern-made music. From writing and recording to distribution and promotion, The Sound is your source for new releases and exclusive interviews from Midwestern artists. Support for The Sound is made possible by a grant from the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. Rolling. Tonight on The Sound, we bring you the self-titled debut album from Winona artist Blunt Blade. Blunt Blade draws on indie, hard rock, electronic, and classical music, fusing these influences to craft his own unique and original sound. Their bio at bluntblademusic.com also includes a twist of dance and a sprinkle of disco. Well, I say sprinkle on a disco shirt and twist up some dance moves. I'm Bill Stoneberg with Winona's own Blunt Blade, tonight on The Sound.
Come. It's difficult to say. The ground is loose, and yesterday's tomorrow day. Escape, release while you have your mind. Let go, discard these emotions, find meaning now. You have this time, ponder. Hindrance collides. Keep courage tightly, fight wonder. Escape, release while you have your mind. Let go, discard these emotions, find I was alone. Tension found me. Sure was the path he saw freely. Give to the heart. Wisdom brought it. History held. Endless here. The time has come. The time has come to leave. Forgiveness kept, while forgiving is not for free. Be gone from this captive state. Be free. Your life is your own to hate. Redemption found me. Shown was the path he sought freely. Refresh your heart side, cleanse all your hatred. Time to be. Quiet your mind. You have strength, you'll see. Pull your pride. Release what you can't foresee.
That was Tension by Blunt Blade from Winona, and that's the first track off his new album. And tonight I have Blunt Blade in the studio with us. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. You contacted us and sent me the album, and it's very interesting. I dig it. Super cool stuff. And then, I was looking at your website, and it sounds like you got a pretty early start in music, like piano at age 7, guitar at 15, drums and bass at 16, just kind of cooking right along there. How did you get started? Like, what was the, what got you started in music?
Yeah, so I think, like a lot of kids that have good supportive parents, my mom pretty much, she saw the desire in me, and she saw the, all the what I gravitated towards. So she's the one who really started me out. She got me right into piano lessons. She bought a piano when I was very young. When her father passed away, she used some of the inheritance to buy a brand new piano. So she got me started on those, and I just took to it right away. And just like anything, I was consuming as much music as I could, even at a very, very young age. MTV was kind of my mainstay. I was watching it nonstop. I was always watching it. I couldn't. There was when I wasn't out, playing around in the woods or playing with some friends or biking, I was at home with MTV on, watching whatever I could watch. So, radio stations, anything like that. But I love classical music back in the day. I got into that pretty heavily when I was into piano. Just as much as possible. But yeah, definitely it was good supportive parents who really saw the desire and saw, that I had a little bit of aptitude for it.
Right. What was some of the earliest stuff? I know you mentioned classical music when you were playing piano, which you started at 7. So I'm wondering, what are some of the earlier genres that really inspired you or really got your brain going?
Sure. So like when I was really young, it was probably more popular music. I loved whatever was on the radio, what was played in the playlist on MTV. But when I started to get really into music, to the point to where you get that sense for it really kind of hits your soul. It was bands like Metallica, it was Pink Floyd, some early Billy Joel stuff that I listened to a little bit later after it came out. Bands like that. But I could probably name, Pat Benatar, like any of these bands, any of these artists that were back in the day, I would just like I said, I would just eat them up as much as I possibly could. But yeah, definitely when I got into like middle school and high school, I got into the heavier bands, I got into Megadeth and Metallica. A little bit later, I got into Tool pretty heavily, and then kind of down the road, I got into Frank Zappa really heavily. I went through a Fish phase. I went to Radiohead. I was a huge Radiohead fan for a while. So many of these bands like that, Tame Impala a little bit later.
Okay.
Like right now I love King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. There's just as much as I can get. But even like some of the the earlier rap bands, like I used to love Dr. Dre, absolutely loved NWA. Snoop Dogg, it's just like I said, just about anything I can lap up. So
right. Oh, cool. A lot of variety. That's really good. I think it shows in your composition too. Somebody asked me, I had mentioned this interview to someone, and they asked me, well, what kind of music is it? And I said, imagine if Frank Zappa and Danny Elfman had a baby. And then I thought about it, and I was like, oh, and then imagine if that baby grew up and married the Faint. You know, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they're a band out of Omaha that's like real. It sounds like kind of like electronic dance music, but it's all real instruments. You know.
Oh, awesome!
And they're So, but your vocal style reminds me of that. Maybe we'll have to check them out a little later.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very cool. I'm in the studio tonight with Blunt Blade. He's from Winona here, and his new album, self-titled album, just came out this Monday. So it's out right now. You can go to bluntblademusic.com to check it out. But for now, stick with us. We're going to play another tune, and we will be back with Blunt Blade right after this. This next tune is called The Build, right here on The Sound on 89.5 KQAL.
It should be clear the winter's press over. Insist that greed isn't dead. True as form. Timing will not be true. Fall asleep. The reverence is askew. Pretend, seemingly kind and just.
That was The Build, and that's a track off the new album by Blunt Blade from right here in Winona. And I have Blunt Blade in the studio with us tonight. So do I call you Blunt or Blade? Is it like,
Either one will be
Okay.
fine. I got a friend who called me Mr. Blade. That
Mr.
just kind of
Blade?
is a joke.
Yeah. Blade's kind of cool. I like that. I'll just call you Blade. What up, Blade? So, I was talking about earlier before we played The Build, different influences and, Frank Zappa, Danny Elfman. I thought of Danny Elfman because your stuff has really cool arrangements and really cool instrumentation,
Oh, thank you.
Each tune has different instrumentation and some really cool sounds. When you talked about your influences, growing up and stuff like that, who have you been listening to lately? Like what kind of modern stuff or even older stuff you're diving into?
Sure.
What's inspiring you lately musically?
Sure. Well, I kind of go in phases, and I love different random playlists on Spotify and Pandora and things like that. But some of the more modern bands that I've really been digging lately, I love Krungbin. I love Karen O and Danger Mouse got together and did an album that was just amazing.
Nice.
Some of the other ones, Psychedelic Porn Crumpets, I love. Unknown Mortal Orchestra. And I mentioned these a little bit earlier. I love King Gizzard and the Wizard, or Lizard Wizard, and Tame Impala. I really dig those guys. And some of the recent tunes, there's just some songs that really stick out that I've been listening to lately. And the first one I actually heard on KQAL, and then I just started looking into it. Just an amazing song called Landmine by I Know Leopard. Just an incredible song. He reminds me so much of the late 70s ELO type stuff.
Oh,
just
cool.
incredible. Smile by Wolf Alice is just an amazing song. Across That Fine Line by Nation of Language. Incredible song. It sounds like it's right out of like 1983. Just amazing.
Nice.
Call Me, taking a little bit of a different turn here. Call Me Little Sunshine by Ghost. Their recent album was really, really good, and this song is just an awesome throwback to some 80s metal, just great. And then No Vacation by Waltzing Back. I love all those tunes. So, but like going in phases and things like that. Like I'll go through a 70s funk phase, and I'll just I'll
Nice.
love to listen like the Commodores and the Isley Brothers, and I just love that stuff. And nothing is really off limits. But I get a little bored early. So I love listening to stuff, and then I'll flip the genre and go, to 80s hair metal, or I'll flip it and go to modern alternative, or I'll flip it again and I'll go to, some 50s, bebop stuff, or whatever I can get my hands on. So yeah, I just love, like I said, just as much as I can get.
Right, for sure. You mentioned a lot of different stuff there, and I like, when you talked about, going through phases and then going back and like listening to like 70s funk and stuff like that. And like I said, your arrangements are really cool. A lot of cool instrumentation too. Did you produce the whole album yourself? Is it all self-produced?
Yeah. So it was a bit of a challenge, because this is a first thing for me. So you can't get as a musician or as a recording artist. When you're writing music, you kind of think that that's really the end of it. Think, hey, I'm just gonna go record some stuff and then I'm done. And if you have a record company behind you, if you have a lot of people that can help you out with it, or you have the funds,
right?
It's easy. It's a bit more of a challenge when you have to do it all yourself. So there's a huge learning curve for me. I'm learning how to do all of these things, but yeah, plunking away at it and doing as much promotion of it, and all this stuff that comes after you finish the recording as well. But yeah, like the mixing and mastering, I had Eric Oler at Submersible Studios do this. He's out of Madison, Wisconsin. He did just a fantastic job.
Okay.
But then I also had people like Adam Snyder, who he's at Bootleg Recordings in the Sacramento, California area. And he was just phenomenal. He was a guitar teacher of mine years ago, and he moved down to Los Angeles, now Sacramento. And
Nice.
He offered so many pieces of helpful hints. So when you hear some of the songs that I have, there was no guitars.
Oh, wow.
In any of them, with exception to one song. Outsider was the only song that had any guitars in it. And I sent him all the tracks, and he's giving me so many helpful pieces. He's like, yeah, this piece right here, you really need some guitars here. You really need some heavy guitars. You really need some clean guitars. And he kind of left it open to me to what I wanted to write there. But he said, you really just add some, whatever you want, just add some, but it really needs it. And so the tracks as they exist today would not have existed without input of people like Adam. So I couldn't be more thankful that he helped me out with that type of stuff.
Yeah, and then the recording process too. Does that, like you said, when you start out, you think, oh, I'm going to write this and it's done, and then I just go record it, hit record, right? So learning that process, did that affect the tunes, how they turned out as well? Like, do the arrangements change ever? You added guitars, right?
Yeah. So it's unusual. So I wasn't certain as to how to start this. This is something I've always wanted to do for many, many years. And any writing that I'd done prior was specifically on guitar or solely on guitar, but I didn't really understand or have the knowledge of how to record anything. So I would sit with a guitar and I'd play something, and then I'm very critical of the stuff that I write. So I'd be like, well, that sucks. So I'm just gonna forget about that, and I didn't really do anything with it. Well, it wasn't until a friend of mine who was also a recording artist, his name is Nolan Schmidt, he turned me on to some recording software, Logic on Mac. He's like, dude, you really gotta check this out. This is pretty much everything I think you're looking for, and this will help you out. So with his help and getting it all set up and everything, I started and I just went for it, and I just started recording piece by piece by piece and just started building tracks.
Right.
And then after they were built, it's a matter of doing all of the additional stuff with the mixing and whatnot, which I mentioned. Eric Oler helped me out with that. So, but yeah. I mean, it was. I grow very impatient. I have a very short attention span too. So if I'm starting to write something, I grow dissatisfied with it quickly unless I can tweak it, unless I can add to it, unless I can change it. And that's kind of how the process worked to my advantage, I think, with the writing software.
Oh, cool. It's always fun to hear how hard artists approach recording and writing and the two together, I think that's pretty cool. Let's get back into some tunes. Let's play another song for people. This next one is, I'm talking to Blunt Blade tonight. He's from right here in Winona, and his latest album, it's a self-titled album, just came out this week, so it's available everywhere. You can go to bluntblademusic.com and check that out. But for now, stick with us. We're going to be back with Blunt Blade to talk a little more after this. This next tune is called Disarmed, and you're listening to it on The Sound on 89.5 KQAL.
Shroud is cast.
That was Disarmed. That's a track from the latest album by Blunt Blade. He's from right here in Winona, and I have Mr. Blade in the studio with us tonight. Mr. Blade, I just like saying that. So Disarmed, can you tell us a little bit about that tune? Like, where did you draw inspiration from, like lyrically and sonically? I know I hear a few things in it, but I want to hear what you say first and see,
Sure. A lot when it comes to, and this is maybe even more broadly, maybe not necessarily just Disarmed, but a lot of the inspiration for a lot of these songs, particularly lyrically, comes from personal struggles, from personal things that everybody goes through that,
Right.
we all have to find ways to work through. And that one is really no different. And a lot of times, when you listen to some of the lyrics of the songs, you'll probably hear that in that. And you'll hear some reoccurring things, like themes of empathy and hope and things like that.
Right.
But you can absolutely hear in some of the songs, you can hear the struggle and you can hear, the resolution, so there's a lot of that. And it goes back to, like I said, everybody goes through difficult times. But, we all try to find ways to get through them. Sonically and musically, that's a really good question. Thinking back to when that song was written, I think I was just, it was more, I was thinking of trying to write something a little faster tune,
Okay.
something that drives a little bit more. When it came to like the harmonies on the vocals, that just kind of evolved from where the melody was. And as I was listening to it and I started thinking, well, I could do some things with that and make that a little bit cooler on the harmony to make
Right.
it go down, go down on the scale as the harmony goes out, as the vocal melody was staying, fairly constant.
Right. I think that's really cool. That's what kind of reminded me of The Faint.
Oh,
before.
sure.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty interesting. And then also there's a little guitar part in there that reminds me of The Police, actually.
Oh, I love the Police. Yeah,
I can't remember what tune. The title escapes me. I can hear it in my head. I can hear the guitar riff, but it just reminds me. There's just it's real short, real brief. It's just a piece of the riff you're playing, and it's just like it just kicks that off in my brain.
That's great.
Police,
another band I was hugely into for a while. I saw them when they did the reunion tour a few years ago. I mean, it was just an amazing show. Sting, oh my gosh. I mean, I couldn't say enough about how I was in another band I was into.
Right.
Yeah.
There's so much great music. It's hard to,
it really is.
And then there's times when I discover something from the past that I'm like, how did I not get into this before?
How
was
gosh.
I unaware?
That's like the best feeling. Like when you discover something that was 20 or 30 years old or even older and you're like, where was I? I mean, like, how come nobody explained that this was out there to me before? And you'll find it somewhere when you're like looking at Spotify or something pops up on a playlist, and then you start digging into them more, and you start getting into their stuff, and it's just, I mean, that's the wonderful thing about music and about modern day music is there's so much of it out there. There's so much left to explore. So it's not just the newer stuff. It's stuff that you may not have been exposed to years prior that it feels great to listen to.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. That's the one thing that I really love about the way we stream music now is the algorithm that will, I know what I'm into and I'll plug that in and then it'll just start playing stuff for me that, I'm like, oh, I never would have thought of that, or I never heard of them or, whatever.
Yeah. A few years ago, man, when Pandora came out, holy cow. I mean, like I got into so many bands that I'd never heard before.
Right. Just
from that algorithm. I was just blown away.
So, we were talking a little bit about the writing and recording process, mostly the recording process. When you are writing, what comes first? Is it like lyrics or is it like a melody idea or chords or a certain instrument? How does it usually start for you?
Yeah, so it usually starts with, I try to write just a hook, just a main hook. And most of the tunes, some of them are a little bit different, but most of them are that way. Just come up with a hook and then the changes for the verses typically. And then I'll build around the verses, I'll build, what chords, what additional instrumentation I'm going to add to it, the bass line I throw in there. Drums come last, typically the drums and the fills, how I want to structure those. So then I'll after that I'll do the chorus. Then if there's any bridge, I'll put a bridge in there, and then I'll just kind of finish it up. Then after that's all done, after the music is all done in the body, then I come up with the melody line, and the melody line that is going to be the vocal line. And I'll usually just write that as a single note and some rare or whatever instrumentation. Right. And after I write that, then I'll write the lyrics to match whatever the meter or the feel of that is. And typically I'm trying to find lyrics or write lyrics that meet the feel of the song and how it kind of flows. From there, I'll then write the harmony line, if there is going to be one, or harmony lines to the melody line, and then throw it all together. Then I'll record the vocals based on what I had already written on that line. And then finally it'll be any touch-ups, any changes. Like there's a couple of tunes I have where there's an interlude. The Sad Clown has a piano interlude. There's another one that has a more of a symphonic interlude. I usually those are later. Those are after the song is done, and I'll kind of be listening to it and be like, you know what, it'd be really good if it just had this extra piece to it right in the middle. And we changed it up a little bit, and then I'll kind of structure some things maybe into it and out of that in order to fit back into the main structure of the song. So, and then this last time, as I mentioned, as I don't know if it's going to be this way next time when I write some more stuff, but this last time, then most of the guitars were added after the songs were already written and already had all of that other stuff done. So we'll see if that changes with the next time. My history is more with guitar and piano and things like that. But this one, for whatever reason, when I started out, I didn't put guitars in. I think that's more of a self-confidence thing. You always look at your stuff. You're like, well, it's not good enough. I'm playing this. I didn't play that right, or because you hear other produced music and you're like, wow, that sounds just amazing. So it's difficult to get up the confidence to believe that you could be able to record things that will sound that good. So that's probably a big part of it.
Cool. So when you're first writing an idea or coming up with an idea, when you're coming up with that hook, is it like, are you just singing, or is it something on an instrument? Do you gravitate towards you said it's mainly been piano and guitar up till now, but like this album, you didn't have a lot of guitar in it. Where was that hook coming from? Were you singing it or playing it on piano? Or?
So it's kind of funny. So I'll just sit down at a piano and I'll just plunk stuff out. And most of the stuff that you do, it doesn't sound right, or you're kind of working through it. But every once in a while you plunk out something. You're like, well, that's pretty slick. That's pretty cool. I like that. Maybe I can build on that. And then you kind of go from there and see if you can build around it. So that's really how it was for most of these tunes, was just kind of messing around and playing with it.
Nice. I love it. It's refreshing to hear someone say something other than, well, I sit down and start strumming the guitar and humming along with it. I mean, I think that's a lot of us that play guitar. I think that's what we start doing when we first start. It's cool to hear how people evolve past that process. Well, let's get back to some tunes, play some music for some people. I'm in the studio tonight with Blunt Blade, and we will be back with more with Blunt Blade, Mr. Blade, after this. But for now, we're going to play another tune off his new album that's out now. You can find it at bluntblademusic.com, and we're going to talk about what else you can find there and a little bit more about his process and stuff like that. So, but here's a tune called Outsider, and like I said, that's from Blunt Blade, and you're listening to it on The Sound on 89.5 KQAL.
It's just as well intended. future of harsh cuts, outsider among us. The outsider is taking our human side of making. We must resist.
That was Outsider, and that's a tune off the latest album by Blunt Blade from right here at Winona. And I have Mr. Blade in the studio with me tonight. So, we were kind of talking about, we talked about a lot of stuff there, but, we touched on influences again, but we also talked about like the recording process and stuff like that. And you self-produced this. I'm assuming you play all the instruments. Is that true?
Yep, yeah. That's correct.
Okay. How do you decide? Because you have some really cool, some unique instrumentation and things like that. Some really cool sounds. How do you decide what's going into it? Like, like you said, at first there wasn't a lot of guitar on it, and then you added it. How do you make those decisions? Like when you're first laying a tune down, do you know in your head like, oh, this is gonna have piano, and I want the piano to sound like this, or I want, or does it come about through the process? Or,
it absolutely comes about through the process. So I'm not that good of a planner when it comes to picking stuff out. And like you said, there's so much available, so many different sounds, so many different tones. So I'll usually be listening through different ones that might be available, and then I love how you can tweak them out. You can kind of mess with them and change them to how you want. And a lot of times I'll be playing through some, and I'll be like, well, nope. I'll be going down the list. Nope, this doesn't sound right. I'll play something on the keyboard. Nope, this doesn't sound right. Then I'll just come across one that just for whatever reason it has a good sounding feel for it. Mm-hmm. And the beginning it's a little different because the beginning you're starting from scratch, with your hook and things like that. Right. So that's a little bit more unique. But once you have the feel of the song, then the sounds that are added, the different things that you can add to it, they need to fit within what the song sounds like. So in that case, it gets very, very specific. So if I'm thinking like I mentioned earlier that my friend Adam explained that, hey, you need some clean guitars in it. So I would plug in my guitar and I'd listen to the different sounds that were available for a clean guitar, and I'd be like, okay, I want to do this, but I want to add some echo to it or some digital delay to it because that would sound cool in this part. So then I tweak all of those things out, and then I get down to recording what it is. So, but yeah, definitely depending on where it is, the start of the song, just kind of open book. Once the song starts to get established, then it's like, okay, I need to get some things that fit, that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does. And then do you if you've got a part already and then you're like, oh, I would like to add some delay and stuff to that like this, does that affect the way you play it then? Do you go back and play it again? So that
it has changed. It has changed, definitely. If I can get a really cool effect out of like a really cool delay, I will work around that so it all fits within the song, whatever the song happens to be.
Right. So when you're doing stuff like that and you're adding delay, are you is it all in the box, so to speak? Do you are you using plugins, or do you have like an effects rack or a favorite pedal or something that you use for that? Or
so I do have pedals, but I didn't really use many of those. I used what was in the program,
right?
And then my mixer, the guy I have mixed who mixed it for me, Eric Oler, he added then a few things as well.
Okay.
So he added a few different effects through his mastering and mixing software that he uses. But yeah, for the most part, it was, hey, what is available to me here, and then how can I manipulate it into sounding as good, or in some cases maybe as bad as I want it to sound.
Right? Yeah. You want, right?
Yeah. I want it to sound dirty. So yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I always think it's interesting to find out, in this day and age when we're doing things on computers instead of tape, how much of it is plugins and how much of it is older gear that we're plugging into it, so yeah. I find that hybridization that's going on really fascinating. Let's go ahead and play another tune for people. This one, I really dig that last one, Outsider. I think there's that whatever was tripping in my head that reminded me of the Police. Super cool. And this one as well. I had planned out 6 tunes, and this one wasn't included. And then after listening to the album some more, I was like, oh man, this tune's got to be in it. But it's The Sad Clown. It's just a super cool song. And I think how Just the arrangement, man. I'm super impressed with your arrangements. Like,
Oh, thanks, man.
They're unique, and but it keeps your ear. You know, it holds your ear still. You know, a lot of times people make changes that are jolting, and there's nothing like that on your album. So I really dig that. But let's go ahead and play it for people so they know what I'm talking about. I'm here in the studio tonight with Blunt Blade. He's from Winona here, and has a brand new album out, self-titled. And this next track is off that record. This is called The Sad Clown, and we'll be back with Mr. Blade right after this. This is The Sad Clown, and you're listening to it on The Sound on 89.5 KQAL.
Surgically crown, the gown, the clown.
That was The Sad Clown, and that's a tune off of the latest album by Blunt Blade, and he's from right here in Winona, and I have Mr. Blade in the studio with us tonight. So, Blade, I just like saying that. That's a great name, man. So the album is out now. It's a full-length album. I think is it 11 tracks total?
Yeah,
right?
11 tracks.
And available to stream. Is it on where can we find it?
So you can find it on Bandcamp.
Okay.
You can also find it on my website, which is bluntblademusic.com.
Okay.
And it's available on CD as well, so you can order that. There's also
Nice.
some merch and things like that, some shirts and hats and mugs. And,
Excellent.
I do have a limited edition signed poster. I threw 100 of those out there and
nice.
signed them all, so those are available. But yeah, available pretty much everywhere. You can stream it anywhere. It should be on all major streaming services.
Cool.
So yeah, anywhere you feel comfortable listening to it, go for it.
Right. Sounds good. And lots of merch. I like that too. I was flipping through that and saw the mugs and hats and stuff. I dig that.
Thanks,
Lots of good stuff. And the poster. Thank you for the poster.
Sure.
You brought a poster in for us. Is that the album cover then?
It is,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice. Very nice. So for all this stuff, you can go to bluntblademusic.com and find it all there. You can get all your merch and stuff like that. Buy the album. I know streaming is convenient and fun for all of us, but support your local artists by actually purchasing their music. So I encourage you to do that. What's next? Is there plans for some live shows around the area? Anything like that? Or?
Sure. So mostly what's going to be the heavy stuff next is going to be additional promotion, pushing it out. Pushing it out to some other promotion and marketing type services that might be able to get the album out there and get some greater acceptance or greater listening audience to it.
Right.
Future is going to potentially be another album, another singles. I'm looking at. I'm a huge fan of vinyl. I've got a vinyl
Nice.
collection at home, and I want to put it out on vinyl, but it's a matter of funding it. Vinyl is very expensive
Right.
to press. And you don't make any money on it. You kind of put it out there and you sell it for almost exactly what you paid for it. It's just a
Right.
matter of getting it out there. But being such a fan of vinyl, I just love it so much. I've got to find a way to do it.
Right,
It's just a
right.
matter of when, not if, I think.
Okay, cool.
And then beyond that, maybe getting back into doing some more writing, potentially putting out a follow-up.
Nice.
That type of stuff. And I'm open for anything down the road.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. Do you have plans to take this live at all, or?
It's a possibility. That there's some challenges that I would need to overcome. I would need to, since I did this all myself, I would need to get some musicians around me. Put together some support that way. So it would be a little bit more challenging. I'm certainly open to it. I mean, I'd love to do this down the road.
Right.
But yeah, if I can, overcome those challenges, I think absolutely we could do some live stuff.
Cool. Very cool. Mr. Blade. Love it. Good stuff. The album is called Blunt Blade. The artist is Blunt Blade from right here in Winona. We've been listening to it tonight. I encourage you to go to bluntblademusic.com. You can find the release there, all the merch, stuff like that, and news of, the next recordings or whatever is to come. So, Blade, thank you so much for coming in with us tonight. Really dig the album. Glad you contacted us. And if you guys like this stuff, give us a call here at KQL and request it. It's on the shelf, so we can play it for you if you want. And I encourage you to go get it, though. So, Blade, thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I mean, this is really cool. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Very awesome.
Yeah, it's great having you in. So, looking forward to what you do next. So, it's always good to see more Minnesota and Winona artists coming up. So,
Awesome.
Love it. We're going to play one more track from the album. This is actually the last track. I just thought it was fitting to end the show with the last track, and it has a fitting title. It's called The End. So, we've been talking to Blunt Blade, like I said, and this track is called The End, and you're listening to it on The Sound on 89.5 KQL.
Sometimes the show will not portend the true does. Silence can be shame until it must. Kindred spirits are these, resentment and disease, and falling to one knee are the witnesses to this decree, including me. All the paths are set with chalk, pretensions falter. The chosen route is one that harps, it won't alter. Justice once, it won't become again. Can't refute what's here, what's been. In this the time that join our grudge and constant echo, the hardship is the only element engraved. There's peace of mind, but it's fleeting at its very core. Results are coming quickly, solutions once misguided, the kind that soon will determine if cause was just or toward. And in the end the will dies, but will can soon be reborn. At last it is here, the time, while sleeping soundly, is stricken through its jealous eye, but hardly seen. Justice once, it won't become again. Can't refute what's here, what's been. It's over now, the last of what was thought to be right. The foolish ones had once been told it would not die. The truth revealed, so hard to turn and catch the fly. Results are coming quickly, solutions once misguided, the kind that soon will determine if cause was just or toward. And in the end the will dies, but will can soon be reborn. The end is placed a burden upon the cold one's footsteps, a present rough encounter, just and truthful while who care less. Behold the chance before you, an opportunity hence to fight and live with me, and lacking any firm resistance.
Thanks again to Blunt Blade for joining us tonight on The Sound. To hear more from Blunt Blade, just go to Bandcamp, your favorite streaming service, or bluntblademusic.com. For more deep dives into local and regional albums, tune into The Sound every Wednesday night at 6 right here on 89.5 KQAL. You can also listen to past episodes of The Sound on your favorite streaming services. Find links at kqal.org. I'm Bill Stoneberg, and we've just heard from Blunt Blade on The Sound. Thanks for listening to The Sound. The Sound is produced by KQAL-FM on the campus of Winona State University. Visit us online at kqal.org.